What is going on, everybody? Technically, I guess I'm late. I need to change it from 11:30 to 11:40. I am here now. It is 11:35. We're splitting the difference. I got embedded in the Substack article. I just got it out. Cut in, so we'll go 5 minutes later today. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Before we get started, read the disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I have no idea what the markets are going to do. The crystal ball that I ordered came back as an empty bottle of water. I don't have any vision into what's going to happen. Use this video for educational and entertainment purposes only. And with that being said, thank you everybody for being here. Star, what's going on? Chels, what's going on? Rusty, Herbert, Rambler, what is going on? We got Joni here. Joni, did you leave a message on my Seeking Alpha article? I feel like you may have. Let me know if it was you. Who else is here? Inbound, what's going on? Diane, I quote tweeted your thing about Jocko. It was phenomenal. Hopefully more people watch his videos. Anyway, June, what's going on? Missy Ledger, what's going on? Lisa's here. The whole gang is here. Sid, what's going on? Well, thank you, everybody. It is Friday. We're going into a long Memorial Day weekend. Wait, well, what is this? My barber now has 2 Bob Ross-based MLB cards, including a platinum, Albert Pujols, both Grand Prix suite. Very interesting. I like that. I do like that. All righty. Well, the markets are doing pretty damn well, everybody. We're going to get into my trade that is shitting the bed right now. We are absolutely going to discuss it. It is one of the topics I really want to talk about today. I am not prepared with my screen, so give me a moment. Just give me one moment to get everything set up. I want to bring up CNBC and see if they're talking about anything interesting. So I am looking to see if we get, the White House, they're going to speak. Are we getting a Iran deal? Moments away, President Trump to swear in Kevin Warsh as Fed chair. Okay. We'll cut over to that when that happens. I mean, I'd rather see, unless Warsh is going to speak, I'd rather see an Iran deal, to be brutally honest with you. All right, let's start with commodities. Let's see where they are. Brent, 103. Crude, 97. I'll take crude at 97 over 105. I'd rather it at 80 or lower. I'll take what I can get at this point, okay? I will take what I can get at this point. Let's do a sector and individual name check before we get into everything. Tech is rallying. Energy, flat. Really, the only things that aren't doing well, real estate, kind of flat, just not running. And you have to think that's going to happen with CME Group projecting rate hikes for this year. Rocket Money, 137. You know what, Maddie? Don't listen to anybody. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. Nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. Somehow, Rocket Lab secures a $90 million deal, and that causes their market cap to go up by a couple of billion. I don't know. What the hell do I know? Congratulations, Space Mob. You are absolutely killing it. Look at AMD. 470. And I sold this damn thing at $3.68, I think. Now, granted, that was like 2012, and I would have never held it to here, but damn, I had 7,800 shares. Every time I see this, it's like, well, that's probably why you just hold and you just don't sell. I mean, is what it is. Yes, Matt is back from his trip. Matt is working right now, but we're gonna get him on tomorrow. Him and I will do a stream. Really looking forward to it. ARM Holdings is over 300. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I didn't think the quarter was that good. I thought there were things in the print that sucked, things in the earnings call that sucked. But you know what? Who am I to judge? ARM is killing it, up 3% today. Fortinet, something that I've been talking about for a while. I think they're one of the best cybersecurity companies. They're rallying again, 132. It makes you think that the system I built may actually be able to calculate things well. I got to run it again, see what they say. Because Fortinet was the number one pick a couple weeks ago. Tesla does not want to go below 400, 426. Zeta, 1841. Let's say that again. Jake Rizzo is here, everybody. Welcome, Jake. Welcome. Zeta's at 1841. Just keeps whipsawing back and forth, back and forth. Personally, I think Zeta's going to be good. That's just personal opinion. Like I said, I got no freaking clue what I'm talking about. Apple 310. Apple breaking out. Not surprised. IBM 256 trying to gain some ground back. We got Oracle trying to get past 200. We got Cisco trying to get past 120. Salesforce 178. Cloudflare 214. The Qs are up. Micron. Good old MU 766. We got Meta Platforms 609. They are murdering Reddit right now, and I'm getting a little stuck right now. We're going to get into that in a few minutes. Enbridge 57.95. I am shocked. I want to see it over 60. I actually wouldn't mind if it falls, so I could buy a little more. Enbridge is such an incredible company. They have built, when I think about the triple threat of energy infrastructure, it's Enbridge. No other, and I have been writing about energy infrastructure for years and years. I do not know of another energy infrastructure company that owns utility companies, renewable portfolios, and pipelines and exporting facilities the way Enbridge does. They're actually the quadruple threat. I got to stop saying triple threat. I always loop in the exporting with pipelines. I should really break that out into a separate segment. So I'm going to train myself to say the quadruple threat of energy infrastructure. They're the most complete, hands down. Amazon trying to get to 270. Big old Mo trying to get to 75. Big old Mo. Verizon 48. Now we get to the companies that are losing ground. Broadcom. Nebius basically flat. Alphabet, Microsoft basically flat. CoreWeave basically flat. Palantir, Chevron, Exxon. Nvidia down $1.93. I mean, we're going to get into Nvidia. I got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of thoughts about Nvidia. That'll probably be a 5 or 10 minute rant. VG 1341 going down a little bit. It's okay. Iran, SoFi being disrespected. Next decade 829. SanDisk 1510. Hoodie-O Hood 74. Take Two. We listened to the conference call yesterday. I got to tell you, I was not like, there were things I thought were really cool, but it was not inspiring for me to even consider taking a position. I am reading the comments right now. We can look at HPE. I've looked at it several times. We can certainly look at HPE at some point. Oh, hold on a second. Maddie, who ignored you? I didn't ignore you. I don't even know what you're talking about. That's just not nice. That is just not nice. Enbridge is a 1099, not a K1. They are a C Corp. They are not an MLP. Reddit getting smoked. Okay. Reddit is getting smoked. I have to get into this. The comments are hilarious. You guys are great. Thank you for being here. Real quick, two things. One, I spent a lot of time doing a lot of due diligence on Nvidia. Joni read it. I put a dedicated article out on Nvidia this morning, and it's titled Nvidia is becoming an incredible dividend growth compounder and is undervalued. The dividend growth opportunity is incredible. They just increased the dividend by 2,400%, not 24%, 2,400%. This is showing me that Nvidia has clear visibility for years to come. They're not starting a capital allocation program to that degree if they're not able to maintain it and increase it. So I am more bullish than I was on Nvidia. I also just put out my Substack letter for the week. And this was a little bit of a different take on what Nvidia just posted. Charles, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Nvidia just made my chips gone wild thesis look cautious. Two different takes on what happened. The Seeking Alpha article is more about the investment case. The Fiorillo letter on Substack is more about the industry and what just happened. I got to tell you, pretty damn incredible. We're going to cut over. I have CNBC up live. Once Trump comes on, we will be cutting over. Don't you worry. It is on commercial. We will be cutting over. Don't you worry. I was thinking about a segment that I want to do. So let me get everybody's opinion. I think I want to make a video a day of me just ranting about the stock market, whatever I want to rant about. What do you think? Do you think that's something that you guys would be interested in? Just like a 10 to 15 minute just rant? I don't know. Considering it, more of comic relief and finance. Matt's excited for 5 p.m. Basis points is going to be, oh, Trump is live. Here we go. What the hell? Hold on.
Jane, thank you very much. Fantastic. And your very beautiful family. You have a beautiful family. Congratulations. It's a big deal. We're honored to be joined by some incredible people. Our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who is doing an unbelievable job. Mike, thank you very much. He's working very hard on the Save America Act, but I will not say that. He'll get it done, too. He gets everything done. Thanks, Mike. Supreme Court justices, and they are great. Clarence Thomas and Brett Kavanaugh. Okay. Secretary of the Treasury, he's like central casting, Scott Bessent. If we do a movie on someday, we're going to need a Secretary of the Treasury. We're starring him. I think we'll put him in there, right? He's done a good job. Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. Brooke, thank you. Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thank you, Howard. Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy. Thank you, Sean. Acting Secretary of Labor, Keith Sonderling. Keith. CIA Director, John Radcliffe. Thank you, John. OMB Director, Russell Vogt. Russell, thank you, Russell. White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles. Director of the National Economic Council, the other Kevin. I was, they kept talking about Kevin, and he's a good man you're going to be working with, Kevin Hassett. Director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, Bill Pulte. And thanks as well. We have so many political leaders, and I just see a few. And you have Tommy Tuberville, soon to be a governor, right now a very successful senator. Dave McCormick, who's a phenomenal guy, wherever you may be, Dave. Wherever you may be. Andy Barr just had a big win. He won by 40 points. Where's Andy? Congratulations. That was a big win, Andy. I'm proud of you. Did the endorsement help? Dan Muser, my friend, who's a fantastic congressman. Dan, thank you very much. Elise Stefanik. Elise. Hi. And a highly respected guy, another friend of mine, French Hill. Thank you. Thank you, French. Also with us, former Vice President Dan Quayle. Haven't seen Dan Quayle in a long time. Where's Dan Quayle? Wow. You look good. You look good. That's nice to see you, Dan. Very nice. Former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Kevin. Good guy. Former Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice. Highly respected. Highly respected by everybody. Me too. Former Governor Glenn Youngkin. Done a great job. Great governor of Virginia, and they try and take it apart as fast as they can, but you did a really fantastic job. Thank you very much, Glenn. And many others, tremendously distinguished, the biggest leaders of business and the biggest leaders of politics, other than the ones we mentioned. This is quite an assemblage of talent. I see the Southern District over here. Will you stand up, please, Southern District? Jay, stand up. And I don't know if our acting attorney general is here. He's pretty busy. He's kept very busy. So if he is, or if he isn't, I'll just tell you he's doing a very good job working together, right? He's doing a great job, actually. So no one in America is better prepared to lead the Federal Reserve than Kevin Warsh. Kevin received a degree in public policy from Stanford University and then earned a JD from Harvard Law School. He studied under the renowned economist Milton Friedman and was mentored by the legendary Secretary of the Treasury and Secretary of State, George Shultz, all legendary names, really. Kevin has worked at the highest levels of the financial world as an executive in the private sector. He did very well, and he served at the highest reaches of government as a senior economic advisor in the White House. He knows the White House very well. He's walking through the White House. He's pointing things to me that I didn't even know. At the age of 35, he became the youngest ever Federal Reserve governor. For the past 15 years, Kevin has been a fellow at Stanford's Hoover Institution, and his credentials really are second to none when you hear them, and there's plenty more. I know that Kevin has the deepest respect and reverence for the institution he will lead starting today. We're so lucky to have him. The Federal Reserve is a pillar of the world financial system and the most important central bank anywhere in the world, with a history stretching back more than 100 years. It is truly the institution that's most looked to and most respected, and it's now taken on a new and even higher respect, in my opinion. And honestly, I really mean this. This is not said in any other way. I want Kevin to be totally independent. I want him to be independent and just do a great job. Don't look at me. Don't look at anybody. Just do your own thing and do a great job. Okay? Unfortunately, in the eyes of many, the Fed lost its way in recent years. It became distracted by concerns far removed from its core mission and mandate, drifting into matters such as climate policy and DEI initiatives, with the Fed straying from its mandate. While the last administration blew out the deficit, Americans suffered the worst inflation that we had in history. It was the worst inflation we've ever had. As you know, there's some people say you're wrong about that. It was only in 48 years, but I think 48 years almost sounds worse. The worst inflation we've ever had, so it made it very difficult. Kevin has spoken often about the need to restore the Fed's integrity by returning to a proper focus on its two functional and really fundamental responsibilities: maintaining price stability and low inflation, and achieving full employment. And we talk about it, we've talked about it often. And right now we have the most people working in the United States than we've ever had. We have never had as many people working right now in the United States. And it's something that I like to say, and it's been pretty much that way ever since I've been president. When I go back to the first term, I had those numbers too, and I kept them. And we've done things that are really amazing, but we can bring it to a new and higher level with Kevin. I think we can bring it to a level that nobody ever thought possible. By following through on this vision, Kevin will restore confidence in the Fed, which is so important and among Americans all across the political spectrum and people from all over the world. And they're going to be looking to Kevin, probably and possibly more than any other person that's had your esteemed position before. I think that's true, Kevin. You got a lot of people watching. I fully expect that with the greatest Fed chairs before him, Kevin will safeguard the Fed's integrity. They'll make their own decisions and hopefully make them well, but they'll be listening to Kevin all the way. I really believe that. Even if they're from a somewhat different persuasion, they're going to be listening to him out of respect, because everybody respects him. Thankfully, unlike some of his predecessors, Kevin understands that when the economy is booming, that's a good thing. We don't have to go crazy. Just let it boom. We want it to boom. We want it to be like nobody has ever had before, because we do have some debt we'd like to take care of. And the way you do that is through growth. We're going to grow our way out of it so fast. And Kevin's somebody, and I feel strongly also, we don't want to see it stifled. We want to stop inflation, but we don't want to stop greatness. And so that's really a very good thing, a very positive thing. And that's what he's looking to do. He's looking to do positive economic growth. It's so important. And as we discussed, economic growth doesn't mean inflation. It can be just the opposite, actually. But economic growth does not mean inflation. You don't have to stop the world because you're doing well. Kevin's also said that he'll bring much needed reform and modernization, transforming obsolete data collection methods, rolling back reliance on inaccurate models, and curtailing the Fed's practice of issuing so-called forward guidance. They want to do things on that. I guess it's a little complex subject, but it's something that Kevin knows about better than probably anybody here. He has the temperament and leadership abilities to foster collaboration among the entire board, and I know he will welcome robust debate. In his mission to keep prices stable and employment high, Kevin will have the full support of my administration. Every one of these people felt, including Kevin, by the way, felt so strongly about this choice. And we have no doubt, we have absolutely no doubt. So important too, so big, so important. I just turned on the television. I want to see how the stock market's doing today. Stock market's up 600 points. That means they like you. If they didn't like you, it's actually up to 50,702. So that's as of about 12 minutes ago. Now, who knows? But I think it can only go up. I think with you, it's only going to go up. That was a number that nobody thought was reachable during my entire 4 years. If you look at some of the great pundits, they said, well, 50,000 would be impossible during the 4 years, but sometime after, we hit it in the first year, but now we're really hitting it. And think of it, it's up to 50,702. And S&P likewise set a new record today. They both set new records today, and boy, that's something good. But you're going to bring it to a much different level. Believe me, it's good, but it can go much better, and that's what I think you're going to do. In my first year, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, the largest regulation cuts in American history, and the largest spending cuts in American history, all things that are so important to greatness. And last year, we slashed the budget by almost $500 billion. At the same time, our military was at 1.2 trillion, and we'll be doing the one thing we are going to be doing is, and we build everything in America. We build it here. It's jobs, 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 but it's also strength, strength, strength. We're going to be submitting a military budget for $1.5 trillion. We have the greatest military in the world. I built it during my first term. I didn't know we'd be using it so much in my second term, but they gave away a little bit of it during somebody else's term, foolishly, but it's a very small part relative to the whole. But we have the greatest military in the world. I was with President Xi, and I said to him, we have the greatest military in the world. And he actually didn't agree. We had a great meeting. He actually didn't disagree with me on that very much, I will tell you. But we really do. What we've done in Venezuela, you see, what we've done to Iran. Iran is dying to make a deal. We'll see what happens, but we hit them hard. And we had no choice because Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They cannot have it. So I promised to cut 10 old regulations, as you know, in my first term, for every new regulation. If you put a new regulation in, that's fine, but you had to cut at least 10. And so far, and I did that. It was actually 1 to 12, so I did a little bit better. So far, we're blowing it away this year. So far, it's 1 for 129. In other words, we're cutting 129 regulations that we put in, so that's music to your ears. We don't even have to go through Congress for that. It's a lot easier. If I do it, it's a lot easier. But all of these actions are aimed at lowering costs, creating jobs, and driving economic growth. Jobless claims recently hit the lowest level since 1969. Under our leadership, 5 million people have been lifted off of the food stamps. Think of that, just in a short period of time. More Americans are working today, as I said, than ever before. And very importantly, 100% of the net new jobs under this administration have been created in the private sector, which is a number that nobody's ever achieved. Think of that. They're all in the private sector. And we did get rid of a lot of government jobs. You had jobs where there were 10 people for every single job and every single event, and they were doing all the same thing, or they weren't doing very much. And they didn't like me for a while, and now they're all working at private sector jobs, and they're making double, triple, quadruple the pay, and they're loving life, and they're loving going to work. And it was a painful experience cutting that many people from the federal government, but it's been amazing. And, you just can't have that. You can never make a country, as I say, great again if you're going to have all government jobs. We're all private jobs, and the jobs are coming. We're building more plants, more equipment than anybody any president's ever done, any administration's ever done. And the number I like the best is we have $18 trillion being invested in the United States for 11 months, not 12. We haven't gotten the results from 12 yet. We're pretty new. But in 11 months, we have $18 trillion being invested, with a T, being invested in the United States. And the record was $3 trillion many years ago by a different country that I actually just left. Starts with a C. But we have, and that was 3. And we're at 18 trillion. We're building factories, car plants, everything, AI, everything, all over the country. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I have to say, I have to give the credit to I used to say it was my favorite word of all, but I got in such trouble because when I said tariff is my favorite word, the media went crazy. They said, what about your wife, your family? What about God? What about religion? So I said, okay, good. I'll make it my 5th favorite word, right? But because of tariffs, we have tremendous amounts of, the car companies are all coming back. They left us for 35, 40 years. They left us. We will have 50% of the chip making capability of who that man right there is. Let's stand up, will you please? But is that right? We're going to have 50% by the time I leave office, and maybe more than that. They're moving in from Taiwan. They're moving in from other places, and they're building in Arizona in particular, in that particular case. But between the auto plants, we have more auto plants under construction now than we've ever had before. we went many years and there was no plant built. And it's all due to what we did with tariffs, I guess November 5th, but all because of the tariffs and what they've done, used properly, used judiciously. So it's really something special. So we have all these plants under construction. They'll be completed over the next year and a half, and you're going to see numbers like we've never seen in this country before. No country has ever seen the kind of numbers you're going to see. And we have some of the people in this room, I look at them, some of the geniuses that are building those plants. You know, a plant used to cost, if you built a shopping center, it would cost 50 million a nice center, but 500 million a giant, beautiful center. These people are investing. You're going to have to look in $50 billion on a building for AI, 50 billion. I say, how big is it? Well, it goes 3 miles by 5 miles. Let you drive 3 miles, 5 miles. But it means jobs, and it's got tremendous potential for a lot of things. But when you talk about growth, no country will see, and you'll start to see that very soon, no country will see the growth that we're going to experience and that we're already experiencing, but that we're going to experience. And one of the things that you see early on is we have the highest number of construction jobs we've ever had, and that's because they're building all of these plants, the auto plants, all of these plants are being built, including medical. Medical is pouring back in. Eli Lilly and so many of they're building 6 major plants. They're going to make almost all of their medicines here. We learned during COVID, it's not good to be held hostage by foreign countries. We're building all of these plants here. Lilly, Pfizer, all of them, they're all building tens of billions of dollars worth of medical plants. We're going to have almost all of our medicines made in our country, which is a really good thing to have. During 4 years of Biden, our country secured less than $1 trillion. Think of that, though. And we're doing $18 trillion. And everyone's talking about that because nobody's ever seen anything like it. And a short time ago, and I say this often, the king of Saudi Arabia said to me 2 years ago, he said, I was over there, and by the way, they invested $2 trillion, but I was over talking to him, getting him to invest a lot of money in our country. And he said, you know, President, 2 years ago, you were a dead country, and today you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we're going to need guidance, and you're going to give us that guidance. But all of the things that we've done, numbers that have tripled and quadrupled, and we need a really steady hand at probably, maybe in many ways, the most. I don't know. I have 2 great justices of the Supreme Court here, so I have to say, I don't know which is more important, being a justice of the Supreme Court or your job. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. I think I'd rather be a justice between you and I. It might be easier. You're going to find out. You'll be saying that. Well, that's a very easy job. With the support and strong and wise chairmanship at the Federal Reserve, so important, America's future will truly be unlimited with Kevin at the helm. And he's off to an incredible start with his family, with his education, with his background, with all of the things he's done. He's respected by everybody. So important is to have that level of respect where you can walk into a room and people will listen to you, as opposed to walking into a room and not having that kind of persona. He has a persona like nobody else. So I just want to say congratulations, Chairman Warsh. You are really a special person in getting this job. The people that wanted this job, the most highly trained, highly educated, some of the greatest credentials I've ever seen. And as far as I'm concerned, nobody was even close. And I just want to congratulate you. And I'd like to ask, if I might, Jane to step forward, and our very highly respected Justice Clarence Thomas to come up and swear in, give him a good oath if you would, because Clarence, we need a really good oath delivered here. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Please.
I, Kevin Warsh, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is above and beyond. It is such an honor for Jane and me to have this ceremony here in the East Room with you, sir. I couldn't ask for a more beautiful setting or more gracious welcome, and I am grateful. I recognize, as the President said, that ours is a time of great consequence. It's also a great honor for me to have the oath of office administered by one of the great and longest serving public servants, a brilliant and independent thinker, a man dedicated to our Constitution, and no less important, a joyful and collegial presence on our highest court, my esteemed friend, Justice Clarence Thomas. Now, Justice Kavanaugh is here as well. We served as young staffers a full generation ago in this building, and I shouldn't be speaking for another justice, but I will tell you something that I always felt, that Justice Kavanaugh and I felt the majesty of this place where we're now sitting. And we counted ourselves blessed and grateful to serve the nation we love and to do it in your building, sir. And of course, I must thank Leader Thune, Chairman Tim Scott, and his fellow members of the Banking Committee who saw me through the Senate confirmation. My whole family and I are joined by many others here today who I'm honored to call friends and colleagues, mentors, confidants. Their presence means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to the President too. It's the honor of a lifetime to be called back into public service. And with this oath, I've accepted a high and solemn responsibility. At the swearing in of Alan Greenspan at this very place in 1987, President Ronald Reagan called the chairmanship of the Federal Reserve a, quote, great role in American life. I've known 5 of my predecessors in this job, some of them quite well, but Chairman Greenspan was the first to tell me and show me what this role demands. He recently marked his 100th birthday, and although he can't be here, I'm thinking about him today too. Like Alan, I intend to fill the role of chairman with energy and purpose, just the way Chairman Greenspan did, faithful to the mission and the very best traditions of the Fed. As you demonstrate, Mr. President, every day, energy and purpose are how big obstacles are overcome. Your greatest ambitions are for America, for what free people can achieve when they have the chance. And while I'm not naive about the challenges we face, I believe, Mr. President, these years can bring unmatched prosperity that will raise living standards for Americans from all walks of life. And the Fed has something to do with it. Our mandate at the Fed is to promote price stability and maximum employment. When we pursue those aims with wisdom and clarity, independence and resolve, inflation can be lower, growth stronger, real take-home pay higher, and America can be more prosperous. and no less important, America's place in the world more secure. To fulfill this mission, I will lead a reform-oriented Federal Reserve, learning from past successes and mistakes both, escaping static frameworks and models, and upholding clear standards of integrity and performance. Today marks a return to an institution that I do in fact cherish. It was nearly a generation ago, at another time of great consequence, that I worked with some outstanding public servants at the Fed, both here in Washington and at the reserve banks. My goal now is to create an environment in which the best people can do their life's best work, and to face every challenge in the spirit of common purpose and devotion to the national interest, in a word, to excellence. These duties are now mine, Mr. President, because of the trust you have placed in me. I accept them with gratitude and will strive every day to serve our fellow citizens well. And in final, I'll just say I'm going to look around and try to hold on to this special moment. But after we leave this stage, the real work begins. So let's begin that work. It's an honor. Thank you again, Mr. President.
All right, everybody. We heard it live, putting out a poll right now. Based on what you heard, when the Fed makes a move, is it higher or lower? Rate hike, rate cut. Now, before I hit start poll, let's be clear. Right now, we are even keel. We have not been cutting. That is not an option. I don't care about the next meeting or meeting after that. Whenever we get a change, is it going higher or is it going lower? I want to see what everybody thinks. Poll is live. All right. I don't think, well, let's see what all of you think. I don't want to influence anybody. You guys will get influenced, but I think Warsh, all right, it's pretty even. 56, 54, 57, 43. It's pretty even. I wonder who they're going to bring on CNBC real quick off the hop to analyze this. Look, I liked what he said. I think Kevin Warsh is very capable. Let's see what they say. We got the committee on.
Matt Peterson, and it's a pleasure to have you on our program for the very first time. Welcome.
Fun day to be here.
I'm wondering what you made of both of what the now Fed Chair Warsh said, along with the president.
Well, I think we saw a pretty historic transfer of power, not just from Jay Powell to Kevin Warsh, but also from President Donald Trump to Kevin Warsh. Trump's influence over the Fed has grown and grown and grown as he's had the chance to make this decision and as he's been able to come after the Fed in lots of different ways. And now he's handing it off. He's giving Kevin Warsh the chance to do whatever Kevin Warsh is going to go out there and do. And now it's really up to him.
He comes at a time where there are some enormous challenges on the table ahead of him. Inflation is obviously moving in the wrong direction. Got another read on consumer confidence today, which seems to be going in the wrong direction as well. The 10-year yield, the highest on the swearing-in date of any chair, going all the way back to Alan Greenspan in 1987. He enters a divided and hawkish Fed. We learned yet again today of how hawkish this Fed has moved. Hearing from Governor Waller this morning, said his views to hold rates at current levels on concerns about inflation, that he could even support a hike if expectations become unanchored. I'm wondering what you make of those challenges that lay before Fed Chair Warsh.
I think those are big challenges and they're real. That said, I think Kevin Warsh is putting the Fed on notice that the way of doing business that we've all gotten used to is going to change. He said he's there to reform the Federal Reserve. He did not talk about interest rates, right? He is coming in with a big mandate, as he sees it, to change the way the Fed thinks about inflation. We even heard from the president that forward guidance is going away, right? Do you really think that that's going to stick around after it's come out of Trump's mouth, after it's come out of Warsh's mouth too? So,
I'm glad you went there. He said, and I quote, "I will lead a reform-oriented Fed." As some speculate on what those reforms will be, will he use different gauges of inflation, unlike what, decades worth of central bankers have in terms of, CPI and PPI. And of course, what we always say is the Fed's favored measure, the PCE. He's intent, you think, on dramatically reducing the balance sheet. What will he do to the communication structure that many of us who do the jobs we do have come to rely on to get a really good handle on how the current Fed is thinking?
Well, for one thing, we may hear from him less. When he went through his nomination hearing, he notably did not commit to holding press conferences every time the Fed made a decision. He has talked about, scaling back the Fed's communications in lots of ways. I think these changes are going to be rolled out slowly. I think he's going to show up to the June meeting just like everyone is expecting, and he'll make some incremental changes that will add up over time, right? I don't think, for instance, he's going to feel compelled to write down a dot in the dot plot that we've got coming up soon, right? So it's not going to be, we're not going to get washed away immediately with change, but the sea level is going to rise slowly over time, as Kevin Warsh has.
I'd love your thoughts, too, on the president saying, I know Kevin will be independent. Don't look at me. Do your own thing. And then even going a step further, which sort of gives you an idea inside the mind of the president as to how he views an economy that's doing really well, even if in that scenario it spurs a little inflation.
All right. Almost split around 57% yes, 43% no. Here are my thoughts on what Warsh is going to do. Right now, the market still up. We're up 392 on the Dow. We are up 145 on the Nasdaq, and we are up 44 on the S&P. The S&P is at 7490. We are still flirting with all-time highs. We're right there. The largest companies in the United States are doing very well. There is no question about that. I think Kevin Warsh is going to come in and say, you know what? Maybe this is just me hoping, okay? Maybe this is just me manifesting, and maybe it's just me hoping that he does what I consider the right thing. I think that he is going to be much less of a politically correct than what Powell was. I think that this guy's going to look at things and say, you know what? CPI, okay, it's 3%. But does that really, how much does that structurally change things than it being at 2.4? Or, okay, it's at 3.5. How much does that structurally change things than it being at 2.5? What are the benefits to having a lower interest rate, a lower Fed funds rate? This country has been built on debt. The problem is that debt is crushing lower income and middle income families and individuals. Debt is crushing the budget for the United States. The only way you get out of this, because I do not know if we can grow our way out of this. I really don't. We have to think about jobs in the future, but we also have to think about putting everybody in a position where they can be more financially stable, and having interest on debt cannibalizing monthly bills needs to be eased. And I am really hoping this guy comes in and says, you know what? It doesn't matter whether CPI, like CPI at 2%, I think that's just such a crack of shit. I really do. I've said it for years. I don't think it matters if it's 2% or 3%, 2.1% or 2.9%. Obviously, we don't want it 5, 6, 7%. But when you start talking about splitting a quarter or 50 cents on what it's going to cost next year, that's not stopping anybody from purchasing. And screwing around with these rates and having them higher for longer, the reality is that if demand increases and you get a hike in prices in the short term, there will be companies stepping in to fill the void because they can make a profit and they can generate revenue. That is the whole idea of the economy and the way that our structure is set up with capitalism. And I really hope Warsh comes in, says, you know what? If we really want to grow our way out of the national debt, and if we really want families to prosper, we need to be in a position where debt is not the factor that is causing people to not be able to afford things or companies not to be able to afford to expand. And having the Fed funds rate around 2.5% probably does solve that problem. Maybe even keeping it at 2%. I mean, the reality is that if you, let me put this poll out. Let's see what everybody thinks. We have over 1,000 people here. Let's see if everybody actually agrees with what I'm about to say. And I can only put 100 words, so let me frame it like this. If something costs $100 today, would it matter if the cost was 103 instead of 102 next year for you? Question mark. Yes, no. It's very simple. Very simple. Would it matter? Is that extra dollar going to make a difference in you purchasing something? And I'm using 100 just because it's a nice even number. And I'm just thinking about going to the grocery store, not your cable bill, not something like that. Obviously, we don't want prices to go up, but that's just not realistic. But I mean, if we're really splitting hairs over $1 and increasing the amount that people spend in carrying costs on debt and increasing what businesses carry on debt, I think that that's worse, only because I want to see an economy that has more jobs than we can fill and an economy that is robust and prosperous for all Americans. That's what I want to see. And I think the way you do that is by keeping the Fed funds rate at a level where the short end of the curve and the long end of the curve on the treasuries comes down and businesses are more inclined to borrow because the cost of capital is less. Yeah, right now CPI is 3.38. I get that. I get that, but oil's not staying where it is. There is no way oil is staying where it is. At some point, the strait is going to open. Now, I don't know if that's going to be before July 4th or after, but at some point that is opening. %71%, 70% are no, it would not matter. I agree. To me, it wouldn't matter. It would not matter one bit. Yeah, where is Trueflation at? We're gonna end the poll. Let me go take a look at Trueflation. Where are we at on that? Do I even remember my account information? Holy shit. Trueflation is at 2.05%. So I don't know if you believe this or not. This is the leading independent indicator. I mean, taking energy out of it, energy has increased a lot. There's no question about that. I mean, I just paid $4.60 a gallon for gas. So let's look at where CME Group is at. And CME Group can change on a dime. I mean, we all know that. But I do not like what they're showing. So they're actually showing for June there's a 3.7% chance of a hike. For December, they are only showing there's a 29.9% chance that rates stay the same. They're saying we're getting a hike. Now, if we look at this, 1 month ago, it was 73% we were staying the same. 23.6% we were getting a cut, at least one, and then 3% we were getting more than one cut. There was a 0% chance we got a hike. A month ago, April 22nd. Not much has changed since then. Oil is still around the same price. You watch. If I clip this, well, I guess I don't have to clip it because it's recording on YouTube. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to make a prediction. If we get a deal with Iran and we saw oil go from like 104 to 88 overnight when it looked like we were going to get a deal a couple of weeks ago. If we get a deal with Iran and the Strait opens and ships are free flowing and the normal amount of energy passes through there, this will be eradicated in a day or two. Eradicated. And this will completely flip and we'll be back to, are we going to get a cut or not? Not are we going to get a hike or not? So, just saying, this is all predicated on energy. And right now, WTI is at 96.57. We are starting to really scale down. And I think that if Warsh is saying he's going to lead a reformed Fed, he really wants everybody to look at the economy much differently. And I think when you start looking at the economy differently, you have to at least sit there and say, maybe tinkering with rates isn't the best idea unless it's dire straits. So we'll see. But there's no way this is saying. We see, if you look at the 1 month ago and 1 week ago, how much has really changed in the past month? What's changed? Oh, since the 22nd of April, every big company has slaughtered earnings. Every big company is keeping their guidance in an environment where oil's up. I was worried about jobs. Somehow, even with the big companies cutting, unemployment is still under 5%. I mean, listen, I'm the first one. I've been very scared about jobs. You guys know this. I've been saying it's one of my number one fears because I really think that the AI revolution is going to retool the economy. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, where is unemployment right now? Let me go to trading economics and bring it up. Indicators, unemployment rate. .3%. I mean, yes, it's ticking higher, but, and of course, why does it not update when I switch to things like that? Very annoying. I apologize. That's my bad. Yes, it's ticking up. It was a little lower. It was in the threes. I mean, listen, I'd rather threes than fours, okay? But how far back can we go on this? Can we go back? I can't go back further. It's not at a really elevated level. Maybe I'm wrong about unemployment right now? I don't know. I don't know. I got to think about that. I do think that the larger companies are going to keep implementing RIFs. I'm just hoping that rates come down to the point where smaller and middle market companies can expand and unemployment doesn't go up because people will end up either starting businesses or working at other companies that are not Fortune 500s. I mean, the backbone of the US economy is still small business. There's no question about that. Let's look at where we are in the markets. And then I got to get into Reddit, got to get into a bunch of things. Rocket Lab is up over $10. Matty Money, Irwin, Shells. Congratulations, Space Mob. Congratulations. Space Mob is absolutely killing it. Killing it. AMD, 467. Incredible. Zeta's starting to move a little bit, 1867. ARM, 308. Fortinet, 132. ServiceNow run a little bit, 102. Tesla, 427. IBM, 258. Salesforce trying to get back to 180. Cisco, 120. Apple, 309. Oracle, 192. Meta, helping me out on one side, killing me on the other. We're going to get into it in about a minute. Microsoft is finally green. SoFi is trying to get back to even today. Nvidia, 216.97. So we got to talk about Nvidia. We got to talk about Reddit. So let's get into Reddit. I am down. There is no question I am down. What site am I using? I'm using my own site. It's actually not even a website. It's running off my server. I coded my own platform. For those of you that are new, this is my own platform that I coded. I'm paying for all the data to come in. I am using a API from FMP. I am getting a secondary API from another company that I will start talking about next week after it's coded and I have it running. I have a Bloomberg terminal that I built. It's just how I want to look at data because there's no site that gives me exactly what I want, how I want it. So I just said, screw it. I'm just building my own damn system. Anyway, I'm not designing anything for others. I'm not making it public either, at least not now. Maybe in the future, but I'm not making it public. Look, the reason why I'm not making it public is two reasons. One, the API I'm paying for is a personal API. It's costing me $140 a month. And ethically, I would not be okay releasing it without upgrading to the commercial one. And I really don't know if I want to pay for a commercial one because of the cost. Two, I really don't know if I want to deal with putting this out and having to maintain it. Like the way that I maintain this, if there's something I want, I build it. But if things start breaking, I don't want to do it. So I don't have the time to make, if I put it out publicly, it's got to work 100% of the time and it's got to be perfect. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. And I don't have the bandwidth to do it right now. So that's why this isn't going public. We are getting back to 7,500. We're so close. Nasdaq 26,413, and the Dow Jones is at 50,693. Everybody, absolutely incredible, incredible. Yes, I don't want to become everybody's IT department. That is also true. That is also true. But let's get into Reddit. I knew that, and let me bring up the option market. I'll talk through where I'm at with this. So give me a sec. Seeking Alpha has close to live, so we will okay, let me get my notes on where I am with Reddit. Give me a sec. So I can give everybody the exact numbers. And I do not want anybody following me in on this. I'm not, I said that when I had more time from not working corporate, that I was going to try to be more active in the markets. Okay. Do not want anybody following me. I understand the risk. And quite honestly, if I lose a little bit of money, it's fine. Like, I don't want to lose money, but it's not, Reddit going down is not impacting my life. I am currently down on Reddit. I bought 100 shares at 167.50. I've written 3 covered calls on it, and I think that I've generated around $800 or so in income, and I'm probably down about $1,000 right now. I'm not sure where the actual slide is that I made with it. I got to do a better job of saving everything. Let me just check my download folder real quick. Maybe it's just hanging out in there. Otherwise, I'll just walk everybody through the numbers off the top of my head. When did I make this? All right, I think this one is, it's not updated because I made it the other day. This was from the 17th, so a couple of days ago. But I will show this. And then we'll get into the actual numbers behind it. So look, as of the 17th, I had pulled in $849. Let me write this down. My effective cost basis is 15,926 when you think about the income that I've generated. Look, Reddit's getting smashed today. There is no question about it. The reason it's getting smashed is because Meta just came out with a forum-like product. So the news is Meta Platforms has quietly launched Forum, a new standalone app for Facebook that resembles the niche community chat rooms of Reddit and Discord by organizing Facebook groups into a dedicated searchable feed. The app allows for anonymous posting, features an AI-powered ask function that searches through all groups, and a feed that is populated only with conversations from the groups the user follows, instead of algorithm-driven content, ads, and updates from friends. The Forum app is being compared to an earlier iteration called Groups, which was discontinued in 2017. Upon logging into Facebook, the new app will ask users what topics they are interested in, then curate relevant posts from other groups aligned with their interests. While users can post using, I don't even know what the hell this word is, and I'm halfway intelligent. I mean, I think they're trying to say anonymized, but I don't even think that's a real word. I don't know what this word is. I apologize. I don't think this is a real word. I think this is a typo. Anyway, Facebook group administrators can still see real identities associated with forum accounts. I don't use Reddit. Okay, let's be very clear. I don't use Reddit. But the numbers are really interesting when I went through Reddit's financials. And when I did my due diligence, it was something that I felt was bottoming. And I wanted to see it increase before I got involved. And it looked like it bottomed around the 135 area or so. And it started moving. So I went into it. So let me just go through some of the very quick numbers that impressed me with Reddit. And then we'll get into what I'm about to have to do. Because I'm going to have to throw a stop loss on and say, you know what? This one could be a loss. And I think that's an important lesson for everybody, because you can't fall in love with investments, especially if this is not a long-term investment for me. Revenue grew 69% year over year. Daily, and this is the big number, daily active uniques increased 17% year over year to over 126 million. I didn't realize Reddit was that big. Adjusted EBITDA has a 40% margin and it was up 131% year over year. Operating cash flow was up 145% year over year with a 47% margin in Q1. I mean, those numbers alone, very appealing to me. Very appealing. Ad revenue increased 74% year over year. Gross margins of 91.5%. Net profitable, they generated $204 million in Q1. Operating cash flow, $312 million. Okay, that got me interested. There's no question about it. Then when I started looking at the financials, and look, everybody gets things wrong, even me. I don't bat 100%. I never did, and I never will. And I don't try to fake it and not talk about it if I get something wrong. I fully discuss it and I reanalyze what I'm doing. That's all there is to it. When I go through their debt stack, you know what I'm seeing? Like, what do you not see here on long-term liabilities? There's no long-term debt. None. They have $2.77 billion in cash on hand. They have 31 million in they have nothing in long-term investments. So they have cash-rich company, free cash flow, 800 and call it $68 million. They're repurchasing shares with no debt. So the question is this new tool from Meta a real threat to Reddit? I have no fucking clue. I don't use either product. So now I have to say, okay, Zuckerberg is a killer. He only cares about making money. He normally wins. Sometimes he misses, but he normally wins. And you got to think that Facebook's ecosystem is huge and Instagram's ecosystem is huge. Is this a threat to Reddit? Probably. So now I got to reassess. And going off the earnings, the street is still looking, and maybe this isn't updated because the news just came out today, but as of yesterday, the street still figured that this was a 30 PE stock this year with almost 30% EPS growth over the next 2 years, trading at 18 times forward. And that revenue was going to grow 46.5% this year, 32% next year, 25% the year over that. Still enticing, but just because it's enticing doesn't mean it's going to work. So now I got to make a decision. It's at 144. I'm down, call it $1,400 when you consider the income I've generated. So now I'm looking at this as I'm probably going to have to throw a stop loss out at 138 or so, 139, give myself a little bit of room. Today's the 22nd, so let's look at next week. I mean, I feel like I'm going to have to write the 150s and get back another $255 on income. That'll get me down to about 156 and a half on my cost basis. Give me a little bit of breathing room and just throw a stop loss out there. And if the stop loss gets triggered, I just buy back the cover calls. So, I mean, I own a lot of Meta, so I'm not really in the market to buy more Meta. But yes, I think that Meta is Meta scares me now that they're getting into this business. I could write an in the money call, but that doesn't really do me any good if it moves, because you got to think about it like this. If it moves to 152.50 next week, if it rebounds off of this and I collect $5 from the 144, I bring my cost basis down to 154, about 154.26. I'd rather write the covered call out at like 150 here and then have to roll it and generate more premium if it goes past 150 next week. And keep in mind, next week's only a 4-day trading week. So I'd rather be in that camp. I would definitely rather be in that camp, because I do think Reddit can still work. And I think that, you know what, why can't Reddit get acquired by another company also? So we'll see. At some point, I will be even on this. I thought this would have been a little bit of an easier because it was really inexpensive, and it turned out not to be. I'm in it for a little bit longer than I wanted to be, and that's okay. You live and you learn. You live and you learn. Jonathan, I have no idea how it's going to compete with Reddit because I don't use Reddit. Like, I really don't use Reddit, and I don't use Facebook. So I have no idea. Worst analysis you ever heard on Reddit? I go by numbers. I don't use the damn company. So I look at numbers. If you look at the numbers, Reddit is a financially strong company with great growth rates. How is that a bad analysis? I'm not analyzing the product. I'm analyzing the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. What do you want me to tell you? Not to mention that if Reddit doesn't go away, they'll probably make a ton of money on all the LLMs having to pay them to train their models on their data. Just saying. Reddit is millennials, Facebook is boomers. The fact that everybody thinks Facebook is boomers is crazy. That's crazy that everybody thinks Facebook is boomers. GA, we have owned Meta since the IPO, since 2011. Just saying. And look, if why wouldn't Zuck just buy Reddit? You know how amazing. I mean, that'd be great for me. That'd be absolutely great for me. Is Zeta moving? Let's find out. $18.84. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Look, everybody knows I'm a big Zeta fan. Goldman Sachs hitting a new record high. Man, I wrote an article about them so long ago. Such a great company. Yeah, that's a good. Hold on a sec. That's a great comment. New poll time, everybody. New poll time. What is considered a boomer? Over 30, over 40, over 50, or over 60? What's considered a boomer, everybody? Let's see. I can't wait to see how everybody responds to this. Come on, we got over 1,000 people here. Come on, vote. Please vote. We need some comic relief. I want to know if I'm old or not. The fact that 8% of you are saying over 40 is a boomer, come on. Seriously? Like, really? I'm a boomer? Jeez. You guys are wild. Wild. Zeta 1884. I absolutely love it. Look, I think Zeta is a great company. I think it's going to do well. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm excited for the next couple of earnings calls. How about that? I'm a boomer that has adapted to the modern era. That's funny. What I will say, okay, I don't think the younger generation could have lasted or could have hung with some of the older generations in their heyday. I just don't think so. I feel like the younger generation is more, I don't know. I think cameras on your cell phones and everything being recorded has made people think twice and three times about doing things. All right, we got 240 votes and 12% of you are saying over 40. Jesus. You guys are crazy. Some of you are legitimately crazy. 12%. Really? Really? All right, we're going to end the poll at. We got over 250 votes. This is wild. 12% of you think over 40 is a boomer, and 2% are saying over 30 is a boomer. Come on. Pretty wild. All right. We got to get into Nvidia. So, look, moral of the story, Reddit's not working out well. I think it's a temporary setback. I will be writing another covered call, and I will be manufacturing the income on it. The premiums are still very good. And if it wasn't for writing calls, I'd be down more money. It is what it is. I'm probably going to end up being in this thing for probably 5 or 6 weeks at this point before I get out, unless the stop loss gets triggered. So we'll go from there. Let's get into the most important company in the market, Nvidia. I have a different take on Nvidia than pretty much everybody else, and I know Joni read the article. Thank you very much. She even commented on the article, which is very nice. I put an article out on Seeking Alpha today at 8:45 in the morning on Nvidia. And I believe that Nvidia is becoming an incredible dividend growth compounder and is undervalued. Here's why I say that, okay? This was an incredible quarter, and Tanner should be jumping for joy and swimming in maple syrup, because you know what? They just increased the dividend from a penny to 25 cents per month. Nvidia is paying $1 a year. Now, I built an entire financial model on what I believe, and I should probably show this real quick because I'm a nerd. I built a full financial model on what I think the capital allocation program is going to be for Nvidia. And I think they're becoming a company that has so much insight into their demand curve that they now want to step up the dividend allocation program as part of their capital return program, the way Apple did and the way Microsoft did. Here's where I'm at. The run rate for 2026, which is their 2027 fiscal year, just based on Q1. In Q1, $81.62 billion in revenue. They did cash from operations of $50.34 billion. Think about that. Over $50 billion in 3 months from cash from operations. Free cash flow, $48.59 billion. 59.5% free cash flow margin. That's a run rate, if nothing changes, of $194 billion in free cash flow. What the hell do you do with all that money? I mean, really think about it. $156 billion is $3 billion a week. So let's say they keep that margin. Based on the consensus analyst estimates, they get to $772 billion of revenue in 2031. At the same margin, that's $459 billion in free cash flow in fiscal year 2031. In Q1, they returned $21.68 billion of capital. The run rate, 86.74 billion. I think based off the street estimates, because they're going to return, they say they're returning 50% of free cash flow to shareholders. I really do believe that they're going to return close to 116 billion this year between buybacks and dividends. And at that 50% rate, based on where they go, I think that they can increase the dividend by 50% each year going forward because of the revenue growth rates and their margins. That would take them from $1 this year on the dividend to $1.50 next year to $2.25 to $3.38 to $5.06. At $5.06, anybody who has a $100 cost basis on Nvidia, you now have a yield on cost of 5%. Over the next 5 years, if I'm anywhere close to being correct, their cumulative revenue is $3 trillion, generating $1.8 trillion of free cash flow. They'll return $906 billion in capital, and off my model, $302 billion on dividends, $603 billion on buybacks. The cycle is not stopping. Jensen is accelerating revenue growth for the third consecutive quarter. He just came out with 90 billion plus in Q2. I mean, yeah, 135 cost basis. If you get to 506 on the dividend, which I think they can get in the next 5 years, I mean, you're at roughly a 4% yield on cost. Now, you don't increase 2,400% for no reason. And here's the big kicker, okay? Buybacks are usually opportunistic. Oh, whoa. Michelle is here. Michelle, what's going on? I want to know, and I think everybody in the chat wants to know, what type of cake you baking today? I think that's the real question. Here's the thing about Nvidia. This opens them up to a broader base of investors. Becoming a dividend growth company is great for everybody, and they are making so much money, they can do everything. Just got home with cake supplies. After my chill lunch, it's cakes. What's the chill lunch? What are you having? And look, if we move into agentic AI, which Jensen says we are there, I think that Nvidia is just going to be a long-term winner and a long-term compounder. And the fact that it is trading at such a low valuation, it's getting so disrespected, it's crazy. It is getting absolutely disrespected. I mean, let's look at this. Let's look at what they really just did. $81.6 billion revenue, 74.9% gross profit margin, operating margin is 65.6%. I mean, how can anybody say that this company shouldn't be trading at a bigger valuation? They're becoming the largest profitable company in the world. Free cash flow, 97% margin on operating. And then operating cash flow is an 84% year-over-year growth rate. I mean, that's just crazy. So let's look at the forward numbers. And I wonder if FMP has updated all the analysts. Otherwise, we're going to have to do our own. I don't think they've updated it yet. 1406 forward. Let me cross-reference that with Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha usually gets all the analyst estimates in very quickly. And if it's not updated, we'll download this and we'll do it freehand. Yeah, 1551 is the number we're looking for. All right. Uno momento. That's why we built the export feature. All right, everybody. I gotta code that better so it doesn't do the ink. It's a waste of my fucking time. And yes, I do like to have everything formatted the way I want to see it. I gotta figure out how to have this done automatically. I'll try and make it a point to do it later. Okay. Nvidia's numbers are supposedly going to be 893 for this year, 1265. This is the one that's really off, 1551. Okay, so we'll just do it from here. Boom, boom. All right. The fact that Nvidia is trading at this low of a valuation, everybody, 15.5 times 2028 earnings with 73.68% forward growth is insane. It's insane. I think that Nvidia is trading too low. And look, it can go lower. We know that they have a history of selling off after earnings and the ramp comes into earnings. That's been the past several quarters. That's pretty much standard playbook now. That's pretty much standard playbook. I don't know how much cheaper they can get. Can it get under 200? Sure. And if it does, let's say it goes back to 195. Did these not update? Jesus Christ. Hold on. I guess when I export this, I guess when I export, it doesn't come with the formulas. So give me one sec. Let's so we can play around with different numbers. Nvidia 195, 12 forward P at 1257. That's insane. If it was to go to 185, 1193 on forward. I'm going to highlight this cell so everybody knows what I'm talking about and can follow. And here's why I think Nvidia is so crazy at this price. You ready? At 275, would anybody think it's overvalued? I mean, Nvidia is still under Microsoft's forward valuation with double the growth. At 275, Nvidia does not even look expensive. At 325, it still doesn't look expensive. I mean, should Nvidia have a larger PE on this year's earnings than Apple? Maybe. But on the forward, 74% growth versus 21%. I'd argue that even at 325, which I'll owe 10 or a very expensive dinner, if they do that this year, it's still a reasonable valuation on forward profitability. I don't know where Nvidia should trade. I know it should not be trading where it currently trades, though. Its current number around 217 does not make sense. It just doesn't. Even at 250, it doesn't. None of these numbers make sense for Nvidia, but hey, that's what makes a market. People really are still believing that the AI revolution is fake. Demand is going to dry up. And wait, what? Are you serious? Tulsi Gabbard resigned? Is that true? I'm not seeing that. Yes, I am. Fox News. Tulsi resigns from Trump's cabinet. Oh, that's so sad. Her husband was recently diagnosed with extreme rare for bone cancer. She wrote in a resignation letter. That's horrible. She's resigning to support her husband through his battle with an extremely rare form of bone cancer. That's absolutely horrible. Her last day is expected to be June 30th. Wow. Wow. Horrible. Horrible, horrible. Horrible. Striper Kid, I just went to Google and I typed it in. Or I went to Bing and I typed it in. I didn't go to Fox News. And I scrolled down and it was right here, exclusive from Fox. So it's not like I just went to Fox. I just typed it in. Hollis, what's going on? What is going on? How much trouble are you getting into today, Hollis? Yes, Bing. I use Internet Explorer. What do you want from me? I don't know what to tell you. I'm so used to Internet Explorer, I just click on it. It's like programmed into me. Erwin. Just got a lot better looking up in here. Erwin, what did you think of what I texted you? Can you get down on that music? You know, Michelle, we all can't be as cool as you. We cannot all be as cool as you. I don't know. It's on the bottom of my computer. What do I care? What do I really use it for? You know what I mean? What do I really use it for? Anyway, doesn't look like we're going to get a deal today done. I would have liked it going into Memorial Day weekend. Wow. Wow. And you feel okay, call me a boomer for that. I mean, is Internet Explorer really that bad or freaking what is this? Microsoft Edge. Is Edge really that bad, everybody? I mean, what makes Google Chrome so much better than Microsoft Edge? I'm an investor in both companies. Yeah, it's Edge. It's not Chrome. You know what I mean. Or it's Edge, not Internet Explorer. You know what I mean when I say that. Jeez. You guys know what I mean. Anyway, it does not look like we're going to get a deal today. Or if we're going to get one, it's going to come later over the weekend. I really hope that we're going to get some type of a deal before Memorial Day. Satan Chief. Appreciate it. What was your question? Just retype your question. I probably just missed it. You say boomers use Google, you were on YouTube, etc., etc. All right. I don't know. Nvidia just doesn't have room to grow. If I had millions, I'd buy because it's literally free money. But like even a 2x puts it at 10 trillion, no way it gets there before say, look, opportunity cost is very real. I have no clue what is going to outperform. If you look at the forward growth metrics, Broadcom has more forward growth. Could AMD double before Nvidia? Absolutely. That's not why I'm holding Nvidia. I am holding Nvidia because I think it's undervalued and I think it's going to run. How much? I have the same fears as you and probably a lot of other people. I don't believe the market will let Nvidia get to 10 trillion anytime soon, because I don't believe it's going to allow Nvidia to become a 12 or 13% representation of the S&P. That doesn't mean it can't get to like 250, 260. We'll see. I don't know, but yes, you're right. There is definitely opportunity cost. No question about that. I mean, at 350, I don't even think it's expensive. I mean, at 350, you're talking about 23 times forward earnings. That's not that expensive. I just don't think it does it anytime soon. Isn't energy inflation here to stay? They're asking. I don't think so. Look, if oil gets to under 80, it probably takes 2 to 3 months for CPI and PPI to come back down. It's not going to be in the very next report. It will take some time. Look, there's always better plays. No matter what you are looking for, there are always better plays. I'm not trying to find a risky play that's going up 500%. That's just not my game. I'm looking for companies that I feel very solid about putting capital toward. That's more my style of investing. Look, I tend to like bigger companies. The smaller companies I'm invested in are Zeta and SoFi, and can't even say Palantir anymore. It's a $350 billion company. But I'm really not invested in a lot of small companies. What I invest in is really bigger companies. But that's just my style. I don't know if I agree with that, Mitch, but we'll see what happens. I mean, yet to be determined. We'll see. Striper Kid, there's a lot of ETFs I like. It just depends what you're looking for. And why does everybody talk about Poet? What the hell is Poet? All I see is you guys talking about Poet. What is it? Poet stock? What is this? Poet Technologies. I don't even know what they do. Satin Chief, thank you so much. Look, I can't tell you what to buy. And I would always say, don't buy anything because I'm bullish on it. Don't buy anything because Tanner's bullish on it. Do your own due diligence. What I can tell you is that when I look at Nvidia, this strategic move to increasing the dividend by so much is indicating that they have so much visibility that they are not just going to be opportunistic with buybacks on capital deployment. And they have so much demand locked in that they can evenly distribute and grow the dividend, which just means to me their profitability is going to scale. And if that's true, that means revenue has to scale. And when I do the numbers, I think that from a business aspect, it's inexpensive for the level it's trading at. Now, that does not mean it's going to outperform AMD or Broadcom or Intel or ARM or Qualcomm by any means. By any means. I mean, I think you got to look at it as opportunity cost and if you feel comfortable with the numbers and where they're at. What do I think about SoFi? Look, everybody knows I've been a critical bull of SoFi. I'm still very bullish, and I think it's going to be a very big company in the future. When that happens, I have no idea. I mean, there's not much else I can say. I have not aggressively added to QXO. I do think that the narrative needs to change and we need to see rate cuts for QXO to really ramp. But I think they're going to be an incredible company a couple of years from now. You expect a huge dividend increase from where? KDP for growth and dividends. Why does that sound familiar? Hold on. Is that Keurig Dr. Pepper? It is. Keurig Dr. Pepper. What's the dividend on that? 3.2%. I don't hate that. 5 years of dividend growth, 5-year growth rate of 8.92%. You may have something here. I don't hate that. Not a lot of growth, but from a dividend standpoint, it's interesting. Are they buying back shares? Clicked on the balance sheet like an idiot. They are. I'll look more into it. Thank you. Skywater Technology. What's the ticker? SkyT. $1.82 billion company. It's up 300% this year. It's a quantum company? I don't believe in the quantum stuff, so I'm probably the wrong person to analyze it. Whoa, Striper Kid, hold on a sec. What are you making? If you're firing up the grill, the question is, what are you making? Any chance it's a nice big ribeye? Any chance? Ribeye? Ribeye? Just wondering. Asking for a friend. My stomach. No, Matt Money was buying Symbiotic, I believe. Ribeye tomorrow night. Love it. Love it. Guys, I have no idea what Grab's going to do. I'm not investing in it. I don't really allocate capital outside the US, so I don't know. I don't follow it. Yeah, I don't remember when Matt bought that got bought out. I have no idea. I have been getting more interested in BABA. I think I said that the other day, that if China makes advancements in AI, BABA stands to benefit because they're the largest cloud infrastructure play and they're making their own chips. BABA is definitely interesting. I will confirm that Lena is here, everybody. Never fear. But I will confirm that there are 2 basis point videos coming out. One of them today, I think around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I got to check with Amit. One of them today, and I'm going to make everybody a promise. I promise you that if you watch the basis point video that comes out today, now keep in mind, I was there. I listened to it last night. It is absolute fire. Absolute fire. Okay. Can't believe how damn good it is. And I don't like gassing anything up. I really don't. I hate gassing it up because if it doesn't perform, oh, Steve, you gassed it up, blah, blah. No, it's that fucking good. Period. We're going to go to the basis point. Wait, what the fuck is this? Welcome to our Bitcoin pizza party. To celebrate Bitcoin Pizza Day 522, new SoFi crypto accounts get a slice of 300K in Bitcoin on us. I mean, your marketing department is doing pretty good at this point. I actually think that's pretty cool. All right, let's go to basis points. X account. Let's see if Amit has not posted anything. So I cannot tell you who it is. I apologize, everybody. I apologize. But if you were at the Chicago meetup, you would have seen the two Steves together. If you were at the Chicago meetup, two Steves together. I have no idea about BM&R. Look, here's the thing about BM&R. I'm a bag holder just like everybody else. Hold on. I want to hear this. Let's, I'll come back to that though in a sec. Give me a sec.
Fourth official leaving just in the last 3 months. Kelly?
All right, Megan, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Megan Casella. Coming up, car wash businesses.
Okay. I guess it was just her handing in her resignation. I have no idea. But look, when it comes to BM&R, I'm down. Right? I bought more. I averaged down, but I'm down. It's part of investing. Do I still think Ethereum is going to do well? Yes. Do I still think stablecoins are going to become incredibly big over the next couple of years? Yes. My original thesis, I said I had no fucking clue what was going to happen in the short term, but I'm buying it for a 3 to 5 year hold. In the short term, I don't care how volatile it is. That's all there is to it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Yeah, it was definitely very cool hanging out with Asian Steve. It was very cool. Iren is green. Look at that. Iren is green. I mean, considering I own one share of Rocket Lab due to Chels, I don't know that I'm exactly adding to my position. I hope that Asian Steve does not drink soy milk. I hope he is drinking that whole milk every day. Wait, what is Netflix Doku? I don't know what that is. I legitimately don't know what that is. Yeah, look, if you can't handle volatility, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I handle volatility just fine. Oh, no, you're not. Why would people do this? Like, let's not put these things out there in the world. It would probably be nice if I was sharing my screen, right? Let's not put this out in the world. Why would we even say that this would be the equivalent of that? We don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. I think Zeta can become a bigger company. I mean, short term, this would be amazing for everybody that's in Zeta. But I mean, I really do think Zeta has the potential to become a very big company. I do own CRM. Han Solo. Drink milk so your stomach can handle the volatility. I agree. Where are you seeing this? Let me go to Wall Street Journal. I'm not seeing that on Wall Street Journal. Let me go to Bloomberg. Not seeing it on Bloomberg either. Star, I agree. Zuck's incredible at making acquisitions. Incredible. But once again, I'm a Zuck fan. No, I'm going to see if my nephew wants to see it. I mean, I'll take him if he wants to see it. You know what? Amit put that out. I was writing my Substack article. I need to sign up for it and donate. So at some point, I'll do that this weekend. Listen, please, fine, no problem. That'd be amazing. Oracle, what's your strike? Let me look. I think we've all been there. I'm happy to take a look for you, buddy. I'm on the AMD. If you don't mind, what's your strike and expiration? Maybe we'll talk a little watches tomorrow. August 340 and December 390. So August 340 is a 145.71. 145.71. I mean, it really depends how long you have. Because if you go out to the December 15, 2028, and I get it, it's a long time. It's 2.5 years, but I mean, you can roll it past 600 for credit. I don't know if you really want to do that or not, but you're not completely screwed. You're a little screwed. You're not completely screwed. There's a difference. There's a big difference. Tariq, look, we may be underestimating it. I have no idea. I mean, look, BM&R, you would think they're investing in Beast Enterprises. You would think what they're doing would make sense. I have no idea. Oracle, I'm not trying to listen. I'm not giving you any insight. I'm just saying that, it depends on how long out you're looking. You may not want to lock in a position for 2.5 years. I'm just saying, when I look at this, you're not completely screwed. You're halfway screwed. You can work your way out. It just you're sitting there on your hands for 2.5 years. That's a long fucking time. You know what I mean? That's a long time. Michael, what are we getting? A Royal Oak? What are we getting? And what color? I'm interested. PWC, I'm not rocking anything. I don't got anything on. I'm not rocking anything. $8,200 by end of year would be awesome. That means Steve is not a liar because I said 8,000. BTS pump because of Anthropic IPO. Let's see. All right, let's take a look at where the zero F's given. All right, let's see where we're at. See where we're ending it out at. Oh, BST. You guys know I love BST. All right. Wait. Guys, crude is flipping. Crude's negative. Let's fucking go. Oh, on the yeah, you definitely did. I mean, look. In all seriousness, it was a fake. I don't have any watches. It was fake. Don't worry about it. S&P wants to get to 7,500. We're rallying. The market's like Warsh, or so it seems, and the markets think we're going to get a goddamn deal with Iran. Look at this. Hold on. Big dog, are you talking to me? Yes or no? Just wondering. Because we can have a UFC conversation if you're talking to me, and I'll blow your mind. Michael, I'm with you. I love the Royal Oak. I actually like the rhodium. Nasdaq 26,450, S&P 74,96. Oh my God. The Dow 50,762. Let's fucking go. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, once again, big dog. Were you talking to me? Because I would like to have a conversation about the UFC. Tech is running. Rocket Lab. You were talking to me. Okay. So give me 1 sec, big dog. Don't go anywhere. AMD is running. Zeta's running. ARM 307. Fortinet 133. Tesla 430. Service Meow 102. Salesforce breaking 180. Let's go. Let's go. Oracle 192. The market is running, everybody. Micron 769. Meta 610. SoFi just went green, everybody. SoFi just went green, everybody. Verizon. Iren is up. Amazon 268. Altria Group 73.75. The losers. Palantir Energy Transfer. Chevron. Broadcom. Google. Venture Global. Hood. Nebius. SanDisk. Next Decade. Reddit. Take-Two. Honestly, you got to be happy. Woo! We got to cut over for a second. Then we're going to talk to our buddy, Big Dog, about my UFC knowledge. So hold on a sec. I just saw a headline that I wanted to put up. There we go.
Morgan Stanley Investment Management. Andrew, welcome to you. Is that a warning sign?
Kelly, in my opinion, every time I hear someone say, well, the breadth is bad, what's misleading about that is maybe the big stocks are showing the best fundamentals. And if they are, then they should be rewarded. So I'm not as worried about the fact that the cap weighted is leading
Hey, no shit.
the equal weighted. What I'm really more worried about, Kelly, right now is what has really led since the end of the first quarter is the real speculative stocks, and they are on a tear. And that, to me, is a warning sign that the market is vulnerable to bad news that comes along when the leadership is in the very, very speculative names.
Let's talk about, I don't know if you can rattle them off the top of your head. I just want to make sure that we know what you're talking about.
I'll give you a perfect example, Kelly. There's something called the Goldman Sachs non-profitable tech index. So those are money-losing tech stocks. This is not the Mag 7. It is up 38% for the quarter.
Wow.
The market's up 15. It's up again today. These are, your real long-dated tech stocks. And whenever that happens, it just tells me, I'm worried about euphoria. Bull market's down, euphoria. Those are the euphoria stocks. Now, that index is up about 190% off the low of tariffs. From the COVID low to the peak before when the Fed started raising rate in 2021, it was up 450%. But what it just tells me, this magnitude of rally in these types of stocks means that the market is very vulnerable to some surprise that comes along. Versus in the first quarter when the market was down but earnings were great, it was a wonderful time to buy stocks, to go through and find names that where fundamentals, earnings revisions were strong and the stocks hadn't done much.
Another point maybe to kind of underpin what you're saying, because you're saying, look, the speculative parts of the market where, unprofitable stocks, that's been roaring lately. On the flip side, if you look at, and this is courtesy of Mike Santoli over here, who has pointed this out, but if you look at the equal weight consumer discretionary stocks, boy, is that going the wrong way. That's that blue line on your screen there. Again, equal weight consumer discretionary versus the S&P. Is that telling you, combined with things like weak consumer sentiment this morning, that everything outside of basically tech and speculative tech is it telling the rest of the market something? Because normally the semis, those areas of leadership, are still sending great signals about the broader markets. But that's also the area where we're seeing this kind of investment boom. So I don't know, which of these is kind of the signal and which is the noise.
Well, maybe there's there's an in between here, Kelly, which is you're right. I mean, consumer discretionary stocks are down because some retailers are saying we're worried about higher prices, higher gas prices, about our future. So there is some question marks about their fundamentals. But what about financials? They all reported great numbers. Their numbers were great. The estimates went up and the stocks have gone nowhere. So if you had to commit money or you're looking for opportunities, I would say financials are a great place. I like to find stocks where the fundamentals are improving and the stocks haven't done any. There were a lot of them in the first quarter, less so because tech has come to life, but the financials certainly haven't. So I think that's an opportunity versus I would not go and say, well, these retailers, consumer stocks have it all wrong. Oil prices are going to drop and they'll come roaring back. I wouldn't make that bet.
And what happens if we have rate hikes? We were talking to Larry Lindsay about that. Top of the hour, Joe Lavorgna was saying we need a full point of hikes this week. The markets come around to a rate hike at the end of the year. Is that something that could be a stumbling block and kind of quell the...
All right. Look, I agree with a lot of what he said, but let's address my UFC knowledge for a moment. Where's my buddy here? Where's Big Dog Gilo? You still here? Give me a yes, you're still here. I want to know what your favorite fights are, so I can tell you mine. Hands are right here. I'm not Googling anything. I was watching this when Pride was a thing. I was watching this when Mirko Krokop was right right foot hospital, left foot cemetery. I was watching this when nobody knew who Fedor Emelianenko was. I was watching this when Vanderlei Silva was still the axe murderer. So you want to talk about mixed martial arts? Because it's not called UFC, it's mixed martial arts. I was talking about it when Pride was still a thing. When the UFC was in the heyday with George St. Pierre, BJ Penn, Matt Hughes, Frank Trigg, which could be the greatest fight of all time, when Trigg caught him with a knee to the groin and Hughes somehow just stood up from the ground from his back and somehow just lifted Trigg up, ran across the octagon and dumped him on his back and then rear naked choked him. Or is Penn GSP2 one of the greatest fights? Or Rory McDonald versus Carlos Condit? Or Rory McDonald versus Robbie Lawler? I mean, you tell me. You tell me. How about this? I was at UFC 205, the first at Madison Square Garden. The pictures are somewhere. And no joke, 70 to 75% of the people that went were Irish. They draped me in the Irish flag. The whole place was screaming ole ole. It was insane. And that was one of the best events ever. You had 3 title fights. You had Woodley versus Wonderboy. You had McGregor, Eddie Alvarez. You had Valentina and it was Joanna Jędrzejczyk and I think Valentina. Maybe it was somebody else that Joanna Jędrzejczyk fought. So what do you want to talk about? I don't know anything about MMA. What I don't know about Nick Diaz being the Strikeforce champion at middleweight, having a gas tank for days. Or how about that Mazzagatti stood up Lesnar and Mir for no reason? That was bullshit. Lesnar wasn't him in the back of the head, in my opinion. That should not have been stood up in the first fight. Or that Randleman dropped Fedor on his head and somehow Fedor rolled into an armbar magically. We want to talk about. Trust me, probably know more about MMA than you, my friend. Probably. I may not. We may know the same. You may know more than me. But I've been watching MMA for more than 20 years at this point. So, just saying. Or that Brendan Schaub got to fight his idol and knock Krokop out. Or that Gonzaga Krokop. Just saying. Just saying. I do know a lot about MMA. I watch MMA all the time. I mean, we could go on and on. Like, we can legitimately go on and on about rules, about how I think the judges should only be ex-MMA fighters. I don't think that judges should not have competed in MMA. I don't think that judges should be in the stadium. I think that judges need to be in a soundproof room with no sound on the TVs, in dead silence watching the fight, because I think that they get too swayed by the crowd going wild off of a punch. Just saying. I'm with you. Warrior was a great movie, especially with Brian Callen trying to play Joe Rogan or Kurt Angle being Fedor. Great movie. Yeah, man, I can go off on MMA. And I'll tell you, here we go. The Mount Rushmore of MMA, okay? The Mount Rushmore, not the most important, because that's a different Mount Rushmore. The greatest mixed martial arts of all time are these 4 people. Hands down, you will not convince me otherwise. John Jones is the greatest fighter to ever live. Fedor Emelianenko, George St. Pierre. Like, you have to throw Anderson Silva on there, even though I don't want to, but you got to do it. That's the Mount Rushmore. That's the Mount Rushmore. Now, most important to MMA, okay? Most important to MMA are not necessarily MMA fighters. Royce Gracie is the most important because without Royce, I don't think that you would have had the intrigue because you had a guy that was 170 pounds tapping out people that were 250, 270. That created the intrigue. You got to throw Dana White on the Mount Rushmore of most important people in MMA. You have to. Because without Dana White, you don't have the UFC. You just don't. And then for the other two spots, it's really hard. It's really hard. You can make a case Rogan should be on there because of everything he's done for MMA. You can do that. And the fourth spot, you can say, I mean, you can make a case for Fedor, you make a case for John Jones, you make a case for GSP, you make a case for Matt Hughes, you make a case for a lot of people. Very hard. Very hard. So, how about this? Fights, the greatest fights? I would say my Mount Rushmore fights, you got to throw Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin because without that Ultimate Fighter Season 1 finale, we don't have UFC today. I truly believe that. You got to throw Rory and Robbie Lawler because that was an all-out war. You got to throw that on there. That was an incredible fight. I almost feel like you got to throw BJ Penn GSP 2 on there. Incredible fight. I mean, there's been some all-out wars. I'd really have to go back and really look, but there's been some really, really big wars. And look, Conor Nate Diaz 2 was an incredible fight in a war. So, yes, Lawler, yes. In the 5th round, Lawler got the TKO. It was crazy. So, yeah, there's a lot of great fights. A lot of great fights. So, I'm a huge UFC buff. You can get me talking about UFC for days. 4 days. So, I hope that gave me some credibility in your eyes that I actually know something about. Thank you, Big Dog Jello. Appreciate that. I'm glad I was able to change your mind that I could just go off the dome like that. I mean, look, one of the most underrated mixed martial arts is Antonio Nogueira. I don't think Chris Weidman gets the respect that he deserves. There's a lot of people. Like, there's a lot of people that I think are just superior. So, nice. You're going to the UFC White House. I love that. And I do have a hot take. You ready for the hot take? This is going to piss some of you off. And I'm willing to do that. You ready? If Brock Lesnar never went to the WWE and he came out of college and just trained mixed martial arts with a Dick Rufus or a going down to Jackson or American Top Team, I think Lesnar had the potential to be the greatest UFC fighter of all time. But obviously he didn't. And I think that could have been solved if he didn't go into WWE. We're cutting back over to CNBC real quick. Hold on.
too many of the non-profitable names are acting frothy.
Yeah, I think you could argue, Kelly, that there's been euphoria and frothiness all year. But at the end of the day, the semiconductors have provided that leadership. And here we are with SOXX, that's the ETF that if you look at one of the bigger holdings, obviously AMD and Nvidia, up 80%. So that outperformance persists, but I think you have to be very strategic, considerate. Actually, in our Mango Growth ETF, ticker symbol Gary, we actually just reduced the size of AMD because it grew so much. Conversely, in our other ETF, the Essential 40 ETF, we still own Intel. It went from a 2.5% weighting, Kelly, in January to 6%. So that is outsized, but we want to stick with the narrative of semiconductors because the momentum is not over. People are underinvested. Today's the last day of the month. You're seeing them come into semiconductors. I think the month of June, which is the last month of Q2, will continue to see investments chase.
But the question a lot of our viewers are always asking about is Intel in particular. You're not selling it?
I'm not, Kelly. You've been asking me since $30. Every $10 it goes up, I get asked on this show.
I think I was asking at 90, but you're right. It was probably 30.
No, fair enough. But I think if you look back and you realize that you have to let your winners run. Conversely, you have to let your losers lose in this market. But we only do that in an equal weighted manner, meaning that we're not going to let a position get 10, 15% in like Nvidia, for example, at $5.5 trillion. It's a very large market cap weighted, but we're not trimming Intel yet. We have a lot of belief in the foundry business. And yes, at a forward PE, Kelly, of 111, it feels like a nosebleed up here. But that's been the same narrative since $70, $80, and $100.
Absolutely.
So what we saw, and we talked about this just last week, we saw that new all-time high in Intel, and what happened? A back and fill. And that's an old pit jargon term from Chicago, but that back and fill means the price volume, the gaps in the price volume. It went back down to 102 earlier this week, back and filled. We saw some volume, we saw some investors come in. We added a little bit at that 102 level, and here we are back at 121 looking to move higher.
No,
so I think you have to be considerate and prudent.
I've learned that you can't just point to 100 plus, PE valuation and say, see? I mean, we were doing that with Netflix in like 2011. It never mattered. Or more to the point, it was an indication of its incredible growth potential, which it fulfilled. IBM is your new position. Is that right? You've been in the quantum names for a while. IBM, I guess, is a quantum name now. It's getting $1 billion from the government.
We bought IBM over 3 years ago and kind of got ridiculed because Big Blue was kind of stagnant, right? And we bought it initially because of the cloud computing capabilities, where it was number 3, number 4 in cloud. But now the quantum, which is really accelerated, Kelly, if you look at Rigetti, if you look at some of these other names that are really quantum focused, and with that $2 billion investment, IBM was able to land $1 billion of that. So that's where we get excited about IBM. And we're not saying that it's the same investment as the government took in Intel. But what's interesting is that now there's $1 billion coming in. Will it have the same trajectory? So that's why we talked on CNBC Pro today. I had a trade that talked about capturing this upside because I think IBM, you're going to see more and more people go into IBM because of the ownership or the grant that just went into it from the government.
That was our mystery chart in case people hadn't connected the dots. And it's only up 16% this week, but that's its best week since 2001. So I find it endlessly amusing and kind of wonderful to see all of these old names like coming back and leading the way now. Quick final comment then, Jeff.
What's the undercurrent real quick, Kelly? It's all old school U.S. blue chip names. You're seeing that reversion back to U.S. soiled names.
But is there anything that you're selling or trimming into the Memorial Day weekend here in the last couple seconds?
We did trim AMD, and I hate taking profits on that, but we had to trim that. But we also have to be considerate of where we are on some of the other names that we bought. And we did some dumpster diving back in February. If you remember, I was on the show. We bought some of those quantum names. We're going to manage those positions.
All right. We'll talk about that next time. Jeff, thanks. Have a great weekend. Jeff Kilberg, Power Lunch is next.
All right, everyone. Yes, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm very scared. Very scared. But I'm going to go. I need lunch. I need to go on the market close at 4 and hang out with Amit. And you guys are the best. Really appreciate it. Oh boy, fantasy sports. I hate fantasy football and I love fantasy baseball. Problem is I lose my mind with fantasy baseball. So I refuse to do it. But I will be back tonight at 9 p.m. or 9:30. I'm not doing the 6:30 stream. We're going to let basis points run. I think you guys are going to absolutely love basis points. It's going to be incredible. I'll be on the market close with Amit today. I'm going to go get some lunch. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of the afternoon, and I'll see everyone in a little bit. Thank you.